Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another Total War Arena news update, or rather leak update. So as you can see here in my tabs, if you are observant enough, you have Spartacus, SUNTZU, and Darius leaked images. Which may mean that in the very next patch, that is going to happen on 23rd of September, when we go into closed beta, we are going to get not one, not two, but three new factions. Spartacus, representing the Gladiator faction, SUNTZU, representing the Chinese faction, and Darius, representing the Persian faction. I mean, all those three factions were in the speculations for a very long time, especially Persia and China. Persia, very obvious reasons. It's kind of like a natural expansion from what we have right now, which is all the Mediterranean factions pretty much. So yeah, Persia is just a natural extension of it. Persia also fought a lot against the Greeks, especially Alexander, right? So, and also Leonidas and Miltiades. So only Kenana, I guess, didn't see any Persian action. So yeah, there's a lot of connection there. So Persia naturally. We also already had horse archers in the game, in the Greek tree, in the Steam version, which then in Wargaming version were dropped. And yeah, with Persia, we will most likely see the return of horse archers. You can also see some camels in here and a regular cavalry, some kind of cataphracts, so also very heavy shock cavalry. And on the left, those are most likely immortals. And immortals also have their thing, which is a combined, like a hybrid between an archer unit and a spear unit. So a lot of new unit types coming together with Persia, if we get Persia, because that might be just some distant, very distant leak. Might as well be in the very next update. We don't know, nothing official, that's just a leaked image. And then we have SUNTZU with the Chinese faction. Chinese faction was also kind of obvious because, well, NetEase, China. So obviously they're gonna put Chinese in, right? Also Three Kingdoms, obviously. As there's just too many things pointing towards the Chinese faction. So let's see what we can actually see. Those are some female units, but I think they're all three the same. They look very similar, at least. Yeah, they all have the same kind of shields. I assume that's just triple the same. But yeah, we do have a podcast talking about the Chinese faction and our predictions about it, which will be linked in the top right corner of the video player right now, if I don't forget to do it. If I did, remind me in the comments. Yeah, where we talk about all different possibilities based on our, arena experience and what we know from Three Kingdoms and what we know from history. So yeah, the prediction is we're gonna definitely see some shock cavalry. I mean, that's kind of obvious. Also, pretty much every faction has cavalry, so Chinese obviously would have it as well. And we predict shock cavalry because that's what they are featuring the most prominently in Three Kingdoms. Most likely G infantry, which is going to be similar to the spearmen that Greeks and Carthaginians have, but this time G infantry doesn't have shields, so there will be some variation. And G is also not just a spear, right? It's a spear with a hook. So there might be some unique gameplay there. We'll see about that. And then you can obviously expect crossbowmen from China. That's also kind of obvious. They are very, very famous for the Chokonu, which is the repeating crossbow. I don't know if we will see the actual repeating crossbows or just normal crossbows, but either way, it is going to be interesting to see how it turns out and how they will be implemented. I do hope for repeating crossbows just because it's extra spicy. So we'll see about that. Just please do not make like repeating crossbows a premium only unit. That would be terrible. Absolutely terrible idea. No, bad CA. No. That will be pay to win. Just saying it right now. Okay, and last we have Spartacus. The Spartacus has been teased all the way back in Steam version. So they must have been working on that faction also for quite some time. And we were wondering, Spartacus, he's from Thracia, right? And Thracia or Trachea, Thracia, Trachea, Macedon, Macedon. I don't know exactly. But anyway, modern day Bulgaria. That in just Rome 1 was also like a hybrid faction between the Hellenic culture and the barbarian culture. So he could potentially be a barbarian, right? But then he was a Roman gladiator, so he could be Roman, and Romans already have gladiators in their as a premium unit. So they might have added Spartacus together with a completely gladiator tech branch. That was also an option. And well, he could also be Greek because Thracia, Trachea was also half Hellenic, right? So he might have gone to do either of these three factions, but he is going to get his own faction, Gladiator faction, and you can also see all different types of gladiators behind him. We have gladiators with, is it double sword? It is double sword, yeah. So we have double sword gladiators, and we have some regular sword and shield gladiators, and then on the left, what do they carry? Well, some kind of a polearm. I don't know if it's spear. Maybe it's also a sword. It's very difficult to see on this picture. But yeah, well, I would expect some, crazy stuff from gladiators. They had those, what do I call it? The Murimilo, Sagittario, Rotarius, but I think it was Sagittario or Sagittari. Well, I'm not that much. Well, all the gladiator lore isn't really fresh in my memory right now. But yeah, they had, like, for example, gladiators with nets. They were throwing nets. Obviously, in real life, on a real battlefield, using nets is an absolute stupid idea because all you just do, oh, they throw a net on me. I just get it with your spear or your sword, and spear just, and the net just lands on the ground. So no big deal. But yeah, I could see it as instead of a pillar, right, which you throw, it deals damage and slows the unit down. It could, for example, not deal damage, but slow the unit down even more, or maybe even immobilize it for 1 or 2 seconds. I don't know. Would it be interesting? Would be absolutely unrealistic, but it would be interesting. It would be interesting to see. So yeah, we can expect all kinds of unique unit types. I mean, dual swords. What the fuck? I know it looks cool, but from a practical standpoint, it's also absolutely stupid. But yeah, luckily it's just a game, so things that do not make sense in real life because it's just not practical, like nets or double swords, they can absolutely work in a game. They cannot introduce some kind of a gimmick, represent it in some way with the unit statistics or unique abilities or whatever, and that gives us a better, more diverse, unique gameplay. So there's nothing to complain about other than those, historical purists are like, oh, everything needs to be super, super realistic in my Total War Arena. Well, for those of you who are like that, I guess I have bad news. For everybody else, I have really good news. Possibly 3 factions coming to Total War Arena in the very next patch. And if not, they'll probably come to us in a near future. But yeah, that's just sending a signal that NetEase is taking this thing seriously. And there is probably some kind of big marketing push to happen. It is already happening. We got the clan system, which is also pretty hype. And actually, if you go to the website, you can see this, which is a progress bar. And what it says here is number of signed up players, essentially ready combatants or something. It's Chinese translation. Don't expect anything out of just Google Translate. And this sign here, which Google Translate refused to translate, but I did on my own. That means 10,000. So it seems like we already have over 200,000 sign-up players for a closed beta on 23rd of September. And you know, the marketing push has just started. Well, it started kind of a month ago, more or less, or even 2 months ago. No, a month ago. But yeah, it's now ramping up, like properly ramping up. We have 2 weeks until the release. And yeah, they're just getting started, let's say. They're just now getting started, so we'll see. The goal there displayed on the website is 500,000 of players. So that would be a pretty huge population. I have no idea how that would correspond to what we had during Wargaming and Steam versions. But still, 500,000 of sign-up players. Well, I don't know how the percentage would look like of people actually playing from those who said signed up. But yeah, it looks pretty promising. And it's also pretty bold move to just display that number straight on a website, a public eye. So yeah, NetEase has some balls with that move. And on that shocking revelation, I will see you on Arena's Battlefields Commanders. Don't forget to sign up. I'll probably maybe put a guide on how to maybe make a new one, because I don't know if it works. Should work, from what people are saying on our Discord. It does work. Need help, join a Discord as well. So yeah, I'll see you on Arena's Battlefields Commanders. Yeah, I'm nailing this YouTube thing.